This is a first generation Audi R8, and at the time of filming it can be had for as little as £35,000. But what problems lurk just beneath its beautiful surface that are waiting to extract thousands from you if you were to buy one? Well, today I'm going to cover all the common problems so you don't get caught out. So I think it's important to start by saying the R8 is an extremely well built and robust supercar, but like any other, it can have a few problems. Now, given that the platform is shared with the Lamborghini Gallardo, any problems you come across, they aren't going to be cheap, so it's worth spotting them ahead of time before you part with your cash. So let's get into it. First problem lies here. Not with the wheel, but the brake disc or rotor, depending on where you're from in the world. What happens is, being a supercar, it's probably driven quite enthusiastically. The driver then comes to a stop and they keep their foot on the brake pedal. Now this is bad news in any car, but on the R8 it's particularly bad because of the size of the disc and the heat generated. It can cause it to warp. Now the way to check for this is on your test drive, get the brakes up to temperature and brake firmly. If there's any judder coming through the steering wheel, then likely you've got a set of warped discs on the front. Now at the rear guys, two things to be aware of in particular. First, the wing. Make sure it fully extends at 65 miles per hour, or use the button internally to go ahead and manually raise or lower it. It should fully extend, fully decline without putting any light or any message on the dash. Secondly, one thing the R8, particularly the V8, was criticised for was its exhaust note. It wasn't particularly loud, and whilst it sounded quite good, it's nowhere near if you were to fit an aftermarket system on these R8s. One opinion on it is the Lamborghini Gallardo, which is this car's sister if you like, and ultimately a product of the Volkswagen Audi group, well, they wanted that to remain the premium baby supercar, and they didn't want the R8 being too loud or leery or stepping on its toes. What do you guys think? Now this next check guys, absolutely critical. Do not buy an R8 without checking this first. But before we get on to that, if you want to see how to fix some of these common issues and also see more performance buyer guides, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification so you're notified whenever we make a new upload. So guys, this critical problem that I'm talking about, it's to do with the suspension on the Audi R8. An awful lot of these early ones, I think around about 80%, were specified with something known as mag ride. Now what mag ride allows you to do is either soften or harden the dampening of the car. And what that means is if you're driving quite enthusiastically, you can firm up the suspension, and it really does make a big difference. It's a tremendous system. Problem is, it's not a question of if it will go wrong, it's a question of when will it go wrong, because typically these units do fail over and over again. Now if you're watching this and you've got an R8 and it already has a suspension failure, then drop me a message. I do have a contact in Poland that can rebuild these systems relatively cheaply. However, if you're looking to buy a car, you definitely don't want to be parting for cash, then finding out you're going to need to have part of the suspension system rebuilt. So your best way of checking is when you drive the car, listen carefully as you go over bumps. You're going to hear a knocking noise if one of the suspension struts has worn out. Also, when you hit that little button to firm the suspension up, you're probably not going to feel a massive difference if the system is getting tired. Now something else I would really encourage you guys to do is when you go see these cars, either at a dealer or a private seller, don't be shy. Take along a trolley jack, jack the car up and take a look at some of these suspension components. It doesn't take a top mechanic to see a lot of oil spewing out of a suspension strut. Now have a look on my channel as to how to safely jack an Audi R8 if you're planning on doing that. I do hasten to add, however, if you have no experience of doing that sort of thing, or you really are unsure, then don't do it guys. Take someone a little bit more knowledgeable, someone who's maybe done that sort of thing before along with you. A remote control one? Oh brilliant, that's terrific. Someone telling me that their son got a remote-controlled white R8 for Christmas. They're popular cars. So guys, we're at the rear still, and we're still talking about leaks. Now that's not to say the R8 is a particularly leaky car by any means, but again, there are some areas, particularly if you have managed to get the car on a jack, that you can maybe give a quick check and make sure you're not getting anything coming out of it. First area is the sump plug. Now the sump plugs on these are only to be tightened to 10 Newton meters. That is an extremely low torque setting, and what happens is, over time and servicing, maybe some mechanics over tighten these. Now when you over tighten the sump on an R8, it strips the threads slowly and slowly to the point where the sump plug will no longer go sufficiently tight. I've had this happen on 2 that I've owned so far, and the only remedy for it is a new sump, or going ahead and taking that existing sump to a machine shop and having them put new threading in it. Neither are particularly cheap, so check that you're not getting any oil coming out of any of the 3 sump plugs. Another area which can be known to leak, and this is a little bit rarer and not so spoken about, is around the area of the coolant pump. This can occasionally have a little bit of oily residue around about it as well. So double check that, and if it is leaking slightly, not the end of the world, but maybe a good negotiation tool. Final area at the rear to check, guys, and this is a good one because even if you haven't managed to see under the car or get it jacked a little bit, you can still check this one. So behind this wheel arch liner is the oil cooler. Little oil cooler has a whole load of lines going into it. Either the oil cooler can fail and start to leak, or some of the pipework surrounding it can start to leak. Stick your hand under the sill here, have a good old rummage about, and if it comes out all oily and nasty, then chances are you've got a leaking component in there. Don't confuse dirt with oil, however. If it just cleans right off and you can't feel it on your hands, it's likely just dirty water. And there we go, guys, into the belly of the beast, the 414 brake horsepower V8 engine. Now there's not an awful lot to check under here. Do the usual checks, make sure there's no Mayo sandwich on the underside of the oil cap. Maybe have a look and check the oil level. Dipstick is right next to it. No real reason for that other than it tells a story about the owner. If they haven't maintained the oil level, what else haven't they maintained? And really, the only thing I want to highlight for you in here is the coolant reservoir, which is this bit here. Have a look underneath and pay attention when you start the car for excess condensation. These are known to split and can cost a little bit of money to get put right. Again, not the end of the world, but maybe a good negotiation tool. Would you believe it, guys? This is probably an audience which can feel my pain. Car's all nice and clean, and the birds have taken care of that for me. So here we are, guys, back at the front. Now, a good thing about the R8 is it's very, very hard to hide crash damage. This huge sprawling bonnet is really, really difficult to align properly if the car has had a little bit of a knock at the front. Check for things like this. Quite a substantial panel gap, you notice that? Either it's had a bump or the owner hasn't shut the bonnet properly. Guilty. Now, possibly one of the most publicised horror stories to do with the Audi R8 was when the early ones would crack their frame on the front. Now, unfortunately, there's no way for us to visually check that. However, when you drive the car, if it's got a cracked frame, you're going to feel it pulling to one side. The car is just not going to feel right at all. So that should be quite easy to spot on the test drive. Also, it's believed that Audi updated the design to stop this from happening. So unless you're looking at a very, very early R8, this probably isn't even an issue anymore. And so, guys, we reached the final thing for you to check on the exterior of your new R8, and that is the pipe which connects to the radiator. I know you've probably not heard of this problem up until now, but I've owned 2 R8s and they've both had this same problem. So I'd really recommend you have a quick check. After your test drive, have a peer under the front around about where the axles of the front wheels are. There's a pipe that runs to the radiator, and over time it appears where it mounts to the chassis, the welds on it form small cracks, and those cracks start to seep coolant. Now again, it's not a big problem. I've never actually had enough coolant loss for it to really matter, but again, you want these cars to be kept in good order, and it might help you get a little bit of money off if you spot a little pool of coolant under the front. Alright guys, so the car passes all those checks, so it's onto the interior and the test drive we go.
Now, before I get into what to check on the test drive and on the interior, let me take a moment to cover a few of the optional extras that were available on the R8, because in my opinion, most of them really related to the interior anyway. Now, what I won't do is try and sway you guys towards one option or the other. I'll simply make you aware of them, and then I think an awful lot beyond that is just down to personal preference. Now, there is one exception to that, and that is the beautiful manual shifter that you could specify in R8s of this era. It was either this or the R-Tronic, which was a single clutch automated manual. Now, I haven't ever driven one of them, so I don't want to say too much about it, but I have driven similar single clutch systems from the similar era, and they were never really the best in my opinion. The later S-Tronics, probably very, very good. However, it's never going to come close to the beautiful, authentic, tactile shifter that you get in the manual. Another optional extra you can probably see right now that's been fitted to this car is the beautiful carbon fibre inlays. Again, a really, really nice touch. You can see it, nice unbroken stream of carbon around the instrument cluster there. Now, the final option I want to make you guys aware of, and by all means this is not an extensive list of absolutely every option you could get, these are just the ones that I feel are particularly nice to have, is the Bang & Olufsen sound system. Now, you can tell if the car's got that from these extra speakers that are fitted in the door cards, and also the tweeters up next to the wing mirror there. If it's got them, it's got the Bang & Olufsen system, and I would say, guys, it is the best stereo that I've ever heard in any car.
And so, guys, we have undoubtedly reached the point that you've been dying for, taking the R8 on a test drive. But let's just calm down, take a moment, because what we're going to do first is take a look at the general condition of the interior. The usual stuff. Have a look at the seat bolsters, have a look at the shifter knob, particularly if it's a manual, have a look at the steering wheel. And what we're doing here, guys, is we're ensuring that all this wear tallies to the amount of mileage that the car's got. In other words, if the car's only done 25,000 miles, it should all still look pretty fresh in here. So now it's time to fire it up. So go ahead, put the key in the ignition, one turn, we get a sweep of the dials. It should tell us if the car requires a service within 10,000 miles or 30 days. And to start it up now, foot on the clutch, turn of the key, and the V8 comes to life. So the car should settle into a nice, smooth idle, and we can get on with checking other components here. So something that we spoke about was the air conditioning. Now is the time to test it. Go ahead and hit the air conditioning button, seems obvious, and turn it to the cold setting. Now, pretty much instantaneously, we should start getting cold air blowing out of those vents. Now, if we don't panic, but let's take note of what's happened. Has the button deselected itself? So has the light on the AC button gone out? Well, if that's the case, it's likely that the system just needs regassed. However, if the light has stayed on, but we're still getting hot air blown through the vents, then it could be the AC switch, or it could be the AC compressor. A little bit more diagnostic would be required there. One of the most widely publicised areas about the R8 is the fact that the engine cokes up. No, it doesn't have a drug problem. It relates to the carbon deposit buildup on the intake manifold and valves. Now, if that's bad enough, it can start to harm the power output of the engine, and the car can start to feel a little bit lethargic. Now, when we view a car, unfortunately, there's no way for us to do a visual inspection on this. All you can do is drive it and ensure that the car feels powerful and responsive, which it should. Now, the final thing I want to talk to you guys about is the clutch in the Audi R8. When it comes replacement time, you're looking at about £3,000 to £3,500, so it's not cheap by any means, but there are a couple of checks that you can do. The first check is as you pull off. So get the car into first gear and take note of where that clutch pedal comes to before you start to set off, also known as the bite point. Now, in this car, in my previous R8, which I had no clutch problems with, the bite point was right about the middle point of the release of the pedal. Now, if that pedal is coming almost all the way to the top before it starts to bite and the car gets underway, that could certainly suggest that the clutch is going to need changing pretty soon. Now, the second check I would advise you guys to do is get to an incline on that test drive. And on that hill, select a relatively high gear so that the engine RPM is at around about 2.5 3000 and floor the throttle. Now bear in mind, these aren't some monstrously torque-filled turbocharged car. You really need to rev them to get the performance from them, so don't worry about the car shooting off or anything like that. What we're checking for is when you floor that throttle, that the RPM of the car increases proportionally to the vehicle speed. In other words, if the RPMs go shooting up, but the car isn't moving any faster, then that's a clutch that requires changing pretty much immediately, and you don't want to be buying into that. Beyond that, guys, enjoy the heck out of your test drive. I hope it's a good car. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you found this useful. And what I'd like to add is if you're looking at an R8 or you maybe have a problem with your R8 that you're not too sure about, drop a comment in the comments section below and I can try and help you out with that. But for now, good luck with finding your perfect Audi R8.